What is going on, everyone? We're talking about Armada Clone Wars Wave 2, otherwise known as Wave 10 today, because there is some news coming out of Rampant. If you may have seen in the video thumbnail, it looks like everything's pushed back till mid-April, which is kind of a bummer, you know, if you were hoping to get your stuff, within the next couple of weeks. And I don't think this is particularly surprising considering this stuff hasn't even been announced yet. And so we're going to talk about why that is today. Talk about at least why we think that is today. And if we should expect more delays. And, you know, I don't think that this is... I think this is actually not necessarily a bad... Well, it's a little bad, but it's not that bad, right? Like, it's always a bummer to have stuff delayed. But I don't think it's that bad. And we're going to talk about a number of reasons why that is. Also, just talking a little bit about admin stuff before I get into it for anybody who is not aware. We still have that giveaway going for if you're just a like and or if you're a if you leave a comment and you subscribe, you're entered to win that giveaway. Also, if you guys are interested in supporting the channel at all, be sure to check out some of the links below in the See More button. You're going to see links for my Teespring store. We've got Armada shirts, we've got X-Wing shirts, Legion shirts, we've got faction shirts, masks, gator necks, the all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm particularly fond of a couple of those items specifically. Even like this this was actually one of the first shirts I made for Armada, broadsides shirt. So I always thought it was kind of cool because there weren't any really Armada specific shirts unless you just got like a generic Star Wars shirt or something like that. So I wanted to start making some gaming shirts. Anyway, all right, so let's go and talk to it. So if there's no update, it's getting harder and harder for me to wait to keep playing with no updates in sight. We got Bleed Green setting the bar high with the $3 super chat. Thanks so much, Bleed Green, for your continued support. How's it going? He says, "What's up, buddy?" Not a whole lot. It's funny that Rampant has been our #1 source of breaking news lately, even though things keep changing. I don't know if you guys remember the last time we got kind of an update talking about their dates for stuff. And while most of the dates on Rampant have been accurate, I didn't think that that this was going to be an accurate one for like February 19th or whatever it was. I never thought that was going to really happen just because it wasn't enough time. It didn't make sense. And so April makes a lot more sense. And I'll tell you why. Pre-orders. I think for a company like Asmodee, pre-orders are important. They want people to pre-order from their store. The way it kind of works, if an expansion's $50 MSRP, like a retailer is going to pay obviously much less than that from a distributor, but the distributor also buys that from Asmodee. I think somebody once gave me a figure around like 1/5 of that actual cost is what Asmodee actually, is going to make. Like that's what they actually charge, like the first person. So like Alliance or whoever would like buy them at $10 a piece. Or maybe a little more than that, like maybe $12 a piece, or somewhere along the lines. Then they get them, and then they sell them to the stores for maybe $30 a piece, and then the stores sell them for $50 a piece. And the stores can actually do a little markdown. They make a little bit of money, somewhere along the lines, and it has something to do with that. I don't know how exact in the numbers that is, but now if you think about that. And you think, well, all right, so if Asmodee's got these $50 expansions that they really only make $10 on, but if we order it from them, then they still charge us $50. They don't have all those middlemen. They get to make like an extra $40 profit on top of whatever else they actually make, because whatever it truly costs to manufacture. That's what they can afford to offer free shipping on pre-orders and stuff like that, especially when you order multiple things. So they obviously want people to pre-order. And if it was coming out next month, and they haven't even announced it yet, there wouldn't be very much time for people to pre-order. The other thing is, in Scandinavia, you just received your Clone Wars Armada. Wow. So yeah, well, hey, you know what? At least now you're caught up. So congratulations for that. But that's a heck of a delay. But you know, the problem is a lot of stuff comes out all across the spectrum. Global distribution and synchronization of release dates seems to have been really, really difficult lately over the past year or two, especially with COVID. But even before that, we were like, I've, you know, it's become almost a meme at this point of, whoa, we got a super chat from Tony. Tony, thank you so much. $2 super chat. I appreciate you. He says, thanks for the updates. Dude, I'm happy to do it. And thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting the channel, man. I appreciate you. But yeah, it's definitely been it's been weird to try to manage everything. So I think pushing things back is a good thing. So here's some of the ideas why I think the Clone Wars stuff is or the Wave 2 of Clone Wars, or what I think is we're calling Wave 10, is pushed back till April. And I think it has to do with that. First off, this transition has been a big problem for a lot of people to try to figure out and work out perfectly. I think the February 3rd live stream that AMG is doing, I think that's when they'll give us a better look at this. And if you look at February 3rd announced, okay, now it's coming out in 2 months. That's going to give people some time to pre-order. That'll also give a lot of people look. And I've heard from other folks. I've heard from people saying their local game store has assured them that they are getting this stuff on the 9th or the 19th of February. I am really, really curious right now just how many people are actually going to get something. Are we going to see something crazy like some dude post on Reddit, hey, I've got my Venator in hand, before it's even been announced? Like, are we going to see some, like people just absolutely start leaking, stuff from this before it even gets announced? That's problematic. I mean, that's going to make me go absolutely insane on the inside. And I recognize, dude, it's a first world problem, right? Like, I've got a lot of, look, if that's the thing that drives me crazy, I have a lot going good in my life. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting the way the things that like that work. I kind of hope that things are released a little bit closer together. I kind of hope we get our spoilers and stuff before things get kind of broken over the internet. But if that does happen, if somebody does, and I'm asking you guys, if any of you guys, probably somewhere outside of the United States, like people in Canada and in Europe and stuff like that, have gotten their Legion stuff already that hasn't come out yet. Doesn't come out till next month. Like if that happens with Armada and you get it before it's even announced or before we have spoilers, let me know. Shoot me an email with some of that stuff. I'd love to be able to take your images and share them with the world on a wider audience. If you're, because some people have done that before. But maybe just send me an email saying, ask like, hey, do you have this stuff yet? Because a lot of times when that happens, people send it to me right away. Then again, if I happen to get stuff early, that'd be great. Now, granted, you can't even pre-order these things yet. So I think if somebody gets them now, it would be through a retailer, either through a pre-order from a retailer or something like that. I don't know. From what I do understand, though, like the review copy stuff through Asmodee comes in around the same time as the Asmodee site pre-order stuff comes in. So maybe like a day or two after. So even if, like I'm on this list, I'm hopefully trying to get review copies of all of this. We'll kind of have to see how that goes. But that's not going to come early. I think it would make a lot of sense if that did come early, because then I could have a review and be like, hey guys, look, here's a review of this stuff. Now I'll go pre-order it. Like that would be awesome. But we'll see. I mean, honestly, I think that's a good idea. I'd be giving them. It's like free advertising, free promotion, free marketing, all of this stuff free. I'll just do it for you. Just let me get it early so I can share it with everybody. And I think that works better too than a lot of the articles, because then not only can you see the stuff, but then you can see it played, because I'll be doing battle reports and all kinds of cool stuff like that with it. So I don't know if anybody from Asmodee is watching, but shoot me that stuff, right? They won't. Well, maybe. But if they, getting it early, it makes all the difference in the world too. Because getting it late, Doesn't really matter all that much. If you are just tuning in, the Armada Wave 10, or those 4 ships, the Venator, the Invisible Hand, the Recusant, and the Pelta, are going to be late. They are being pushed back until April. And another thing that makes me wonder about the pushback, if it wasn't just hey, there's some hiccups with the transition from FFG to AMG. Another thing is, originally I had heard something about 2 things were coming out this month. Or originally supposed to come out in January or February or something like that. And I wonder if there wasn't a delay with 2 and they wanted to keep the wave together, so they just pushed everything to April, so this way the whole 4-ship wave could come out at once. That would be something. Yeah, some of you are talking about it being easier on your wallet or your purse. Yeah, I think getting a little bit of a delay gives you more time to save up for it, because this probably won't be a cheap wave. I'm expecting both, and again, since we haven't had it even announced yet, all I can go off of is the Wikipedia stuff. But I think that the Venator, the Invisible Hand, and the Recusant will all be large ships, which means they'll be expensive. I'm thinking this will probably be almost a $200 wave, if you buy one of everything. And that's not an easy pill to swallow for a lot of people. But then again, who knows? We don't know. Could be more than that. I mean, the Starhawk was particular. Now, granted, it was really, really big. I don't think any of these things none of these stuff approaches Starhawk levels. The Lucre Hulk might be there, and I don't know, when we're going to see a Lucre Hulk, how they're going to do a Lucre Hulk. If they're going to do a Lucre Hulk, I'm pretty sure they will. Because I feel like the Lucre Hulk is on the fence on like what constitutes a huge ship, what is too big to be a large ship. I love to see the Lucre Hulk be a huge ship. Might not, right? It might just be a large. It all depends on how they want to do it. So another reason that we might see this wave delayed until April might have just been they, kind of going back to when I originally was talking about it being split into 2 waves. It may just be that they know it's going to be a long time before they get a whole nother wave designed, play tested, ready, and manufactured and shipped. So if they were to have released it now or in February, now they'd be looking at a whole nother year while these factions are still early. And I think it makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Legion live stream coming up from AMG. Well, they're doing AMG is doing a live stream on February 3rd. That is going to talk about all of the Star Wars stuff. It's not just Legion. I don't even know. We don't even know if they're going to talk about every single game. It may not talk about any games. It may just talk about the roadmap for Star Wars products as a whole. Or they could always pull a fast one on us like FFG did with their hyperspace report from years ago, where we thought it was going to be all of the games, and where we found out it was only X-Wing to introduce X-Wing 2nd Edition. Hi from Australia. Well, hi to Australia. Hi to everybody watching around the globe. We're talking about this Armada delay. There has been a delay for Wave 10. It's going to be in April, as you probably saw from the thumbnail. And of course, we got that from Lion Rampant. Lion Rampant's website, they're the Canadian distributor under Asmodee. Their dates have usually been up to date and pretty accurate. This one is a little bit more of a recent change. I still don't know why they don't make Lion Rampant's listings private. Like, I think it's low-key, like they're like, we need to say, but we have bad news. We have bad news, but we can't make a bad news announcement. Let's put it here so Crabbok can do it for us. This way, the news is out there, but we don't have to make a bad news announcement. I feel like that's what they're doing. I don't know if that's really the truth, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that that's actually what they're doing? They're like, look, we can't actually get on a podium and be like, hey guys, so we screwed up. The dates weren't right. I don't know. I don't know if they're still doing that. Fergus asks, who do you, and I'm sorry if I'm missing some of the chat comments. There's quite a bit scrolling in, so I apologize if I miss. But he said, who do you think the new commanders are going to be? I think Grievous and Grievous seems like he's got to be on the invisible hand, right? I also really think we're going to see Spider Dude, Trench. I don't know. I don't know. It really. I don't know if they're going to do 2 per ship because I want to see Trench and Grievous both on the Providence, but they can only give us 1 with that ship, right? Or maybe they can do 2. But if they do 2, who would they give us for the Recusant? Because there are a lot of people from the Clone Wars that you could do. There's a lot of characters, but at the same point, at a certain point, like how many really feel like commanders of a fleet? And that's where it becomes a little bit limited. And so I don't think you want to burn through that. I don't think you need to do 2 per ship just yet. You got to go take your puppy for a walk. Adios. We'll see you, Bleed Green. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for hanging out while you did. If you guys are just joining us, Armada's Wave 10 is delayed until April. We found this out through Lion Rampant, and we're talking about that today. I feel like the Republic has a lot more commander options than the Separatists do, just because the Clone Wars kind of focuses more on the stories of the Republic. Nuke Gunray absolutely makes sense for to come out with a Lucre Hulk. Yeah, no, he makes a lot of sense. We've got, I think, you've got some of the droid ones like Kalani. You could do Kalani. You might even be able to do a generic T-series. I feel like they could do generic commanders. I think if they do generic commanders, though, you would, well, interesting question. If they were to do generic commanders, would they be cheaper? Would they be less than 20 points? And should they do generic commanders for all factions? Because if you do an Imperial generic commander at sub 20 points, that all of a sudden makes way for that epic Superstar Destroyer at 381, right? Are these confirmed for the waves? The ships are all soft confirmed. I mean, they're confirmed because they were announced by FFG during the in-flight brief at Gen Con. Or at least spoiled through a picture. So they showed us a picture of the wave. They were also doubly confirmed with the Lion Rampant leaks initially. Now, the Lion Rampant's website has had a couple of changes, a couple of delays on them. First, they were just set as January. Then we got a more refined date as February 19th or so. Now it's April 16th. Is this other Star Wars releases? No. We're just... Wait, I don't know if you're... I'm only talking about Armada delays right now. Those are the only ones that I have new dates for delays. We're going to find out more information on February 3rd. So I think with all of these delays and leaks and stuff like that, it's just giving us more things to ask questions about when the February 3rd live stream comes on. By the way, if you guys are here watching, I will be doing a kind of a watch party for the AMG February 3rd stream. So I will be, at least that's the plan. If, I'm going to try and do that. If something crazy happens, then I won't. But the plan is, well, that's always the plan, right? The plan is that everything should go according to plan. And that's the plan. So we're going to plan for that. But don't plan to not go according to plan, because that would be against the plan. So if you're just joining us, the Armada Wave 10 is looks like it's pushed back till April 16th, according to Lion Rampant's website. They're leaking some cool stuff again for us with, it's kind of Asmodee's way of saying, we got bad news, so we're going to rely on the community to create that announcement for us. And that's why I'm here. It'd just be much easier if somebody from Asmodee would just give me a call and be like, all right, dude, check it out. The next Armada expansion's actually going to be just asteroids. It's not going to be any ships, so people aren't going to be happy about that. So it's going to be basically Alderaan, but the remains of it. So make sure you just you announce that so we don't have to. It'd be much easier if they just got on the phone with me instead of having to just find it. By strolling. This is why we just hit F5. I hit F5 on Lion Rampant's website quite a bit because, geez, stuff changes very, very frequently. Although this wasn't really a surprise. They haven't had it up for very long. A giant meteor just fills up the map. Yeah. So, a lot of people have always said, they should just do a Death Star expansion for Armada, and that's funny, but no, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. The only game that should have a Death Star in it is Rebellion. because Rebellion is amazing. Amazing. Greatest 2-player game ever, perhaps. So yeah, so so that's basically what we're talking about today, is this delay. Why are we getting delays like this? What do we think? And are other games going to be affected too, is probably another question, because X-Wing has more Aces packs coming out. Legion's got 4 more expansions coming out. Well, technically 6 more right now, depending on where in the world you live, unless you got your specialists already. And so, like, are these same delays going to affect other things? I don't think it'll affect stuff that's already announced. Like, I think Lando and Callus will probably meet their timeline. I'm not sure if the AA5 speeder truck and then the LAT LE, or that patrol gunship, are going to come out on time either, because I think those are set for like March or April or some. I think those are set for April right now. They could, but I could see them staggering that back to May. And then maybe X-Wing's next 3 Aces packs, April, May, like maybe May or June, possibly for X. They might even separate those 3 so that they each come out in a different month for X-Wing. I think if I were running Asmodee right now, and I've had like maybe 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If I had only 11 items to release over the next year, this is all assuming that that's all they have to release. I would try to stagger them a little bit. Like what I would do is I would split the Armada wave into 2 smaller waves and release like 2 as soon as possible, and then 2 like 4 months after that, or 3 months after that. This would give me time to do like a small announcement, and do that. The Legion stuff, that all makes sense. You split up Callus and Lando. All right, they're coming out in March maybe. Have the speeder trucks or whatever come out like 2 months after that. Good to go. The X-Wing stuff, I'd probably split that up too. I don't know if they have they haven't even announced anything else for X-Wing. So all we even know about is 3 more expansions. So I'd split those up a little bit too. Maybe have them a month apart. I don't know, but that buys you some time of people like having things to look forward to. That's one of the big things in any of these because these games are living games. Like normal board games, you don't have to have new content constantly coming out. I still play Rebellion. It hasn't had an expansion in how many years? It's just had the one. It probably won't ever get another one. Does not at all diminish the value in playing Rebellion, right? But it's also not a tournament kind of game. But like with tabletop skirmish games, you gotta have new content coming out. It doesn't have to be every month, if you, I would love for a philosophy for a game to just be like, look, we're just going to get 1 new wave a year and that's it. But if you know that going in, then that's fine. I feel like we need a little bit more about, for the Clone Wars factions right now, because they're so new, and to get them caught up. So normally it should be 1 new wave a year, I think, for existing established factions. But for new factions, they need a catch-up mechanic. And that's kind of how I think you should run a lot of these type of games. I think that's reasonable, especially when expansions are $50 or more for some of these ships. So we've had $80 expansions. We've had $200 expansions. I'm talking to you, Superstar Destroyer. Make the Eclipse class. Well, the Eclipse, I don't know if they're going to do an Eclipse class, because the Eclipse in canon now was an Executor class. So it was the same as the Executor, at least at the beginning. What I'd love to see is for them to find a way to kind of bridge the gap. I would love to see what the First Order did with the Eclipse once they had it. I'd see them maybe retrofit it and then create a new Eclipse class kind of based on that. Like maybe they make it maybe that ship kind of had to get retired and they made a new version of it, and that was the Eclipse class was kind of made in, call it the Eclipse Mark II or something like that. Like that would be kind of a cool way to kind of honor the legacy and then preserve the new canon. And that's one of the things that they have to come up with. Where is the Eclipse in canon? The Aftermath trilogy talks about the Eclipse. Basically, the Emperor sent like an envoy out to like the unknown regions to kind of start his backup plan, which was the First Order or whatever, his contingency, and he sent the Eclipse, which was kind of like a sister ship to the Executor, or at least was an Executor class vessel. He sent that out there to kind of help be like the new base of operations for the new empire, which would become the First Order. So that was their starting point. That was their launch point. So that's it's only really talked. We don't really see it very much. We don't talk about its design or if it's got any differences. We don't know who is in command of it. We know that Admiral Sloan went out there and kind of joined up with them to kind of help found the First Order. But that's about it. And a lot of the details on that are fuzzy because it's unclear exactly how that happens. We do know from other books like Phasma that Sloan is a leading member of the First Order, so whether or not she went out there with the intent to found the First Order, or if she was like reluctantly pulled into it, we really don't know. I'm actually really interested in that, and I'm surprised they haven't kind of gone into a book on Sloane's beginnings with the First Order. Like, when did Snoke show up? Who was involved? Did Thrawn get involved with the First Order at all? It's as a possibility. I don't know. I really don't know these things. I'm really curious of that too. But at a certain point, like, I was more curious before episode 9, and now I'm less curious. Like, this big part of me is just like, oh, they were just making it all up as they went along. You know what? I'm gonna read different books now. But yeah. So let's see. Please do an Armada Q&A. So many questions lately. Yeah, it's I'll do more deliberate Q&As. Definitely leave them in the chat. It's again, there's a lot of comments coming down. It's harder for them to jump out at me, so I apologize if I'm missing some. But yes, so let's see what else. Let me try and scroll and catch a couple of them. So somebody asked, please do a separatist ranking. Yes, I'm going to do a separatist ranking also for their squadrons. Do you think we might get a Venator variant with the ventral svat? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. I don't know that much about the Venator yet. Once it's on my tabletop, I begin to learn more about it. But I will say this. I do think they'll do a super laser. I don't think we're going to get a super laser. Like the Death Star super laser? Or are you talking about like the thing from episode 9? I wouldn't mind if they eventually did episode 9 stuff, but distant future. Maybe a different game. I don't know. We need to have more. The Eclipse did have a super laser. We need to have more stuff built up around the sequel trilogy to make it feel more important. I think the Munificent, when they do the Munificent, thank you, sweet shirt, I appreciate that. And by the way, if you want any of my shirts, or Armada shirts, or X-Wing or Legion shirts, or any of the masks and other stuff we've got, links in the description below. If you're on mobile, you can click that drop-down box over here. If you're on desktop, there's going to be a See More down over here. There's links. You can get links to my website, my Discord. You can hop in my Discord and talk about stuff there. That's actually a good place to leave questions too, if you have questions about Armada or things like that. I'm curious what you guys think too. Let me know. Should I make maybe a separate section where people can leave questions for Q&A live streams? This way I have, in case you weren't able to attend the live stream, a lot of times people ask questions in the chat. I try to get to a lot of the different comments too. It's been harder lately. I used to be able to answer just about every question in chat, but the channel's been growing, which I guess is a good problem to have. I know somebody asked, are you going to rank the squadrons like I did for the Republic squadrons? Are you going to rank those for also the Civil War factions, like the Empire and the Rebels? And I will, but I don't think I'm going to do it in the same way. I don't think I'll rank every squadron because there's just so many more that it would be like maybe a 2-hour video. So, yeah, anyone else not loading? Uh-oh, I hope we're not having connection problems. It looks okay on my end, but who knows? So, yeah, I am going to do the other factions. I might just do like a top 10 or maybe a top 8 because there's 8 for this way it keeps it kind of synergistic. So yeah, that's something that I might consider doing. But if you guys are just joining in, if you joined in late, the Armada Wave 10, which is that next wave, is delayed. According to Lion Rampant, they'll be coming out in April. So yeah, so that's going to be a little bit of a delay. It's not terribly long, so it's it's not that much longer. And look, the kind of cool news is, we've got vaccines coming. April. Things might be getting better by April. We might even, have more opportunities for actual in-person gaming. So it might be a good month for stuff to start coming out again. April in the US, so June in Europe, maybe. But yeah, it's going to look, they haven't even announced it yet. I think that a lot of the delays have caused them to want to space things out a little bit more. It's easier on our wallets if they space things out a little bit more. You don't have to buy too many things all at once. I know I have been a big critic of Marvel Crisis Protocol. I actually have some more Marvel Crisis Protocol videos coming out very soon, with some of the newer expansions finally started coming out again. And for a while, it just seemed like it was too much. Like we were getting like 2 expansions like twice a month, so like 4 expansions a month for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and it was like every month. Like I was starting to get overloaded. Some months would have like 3 expansions, and these were expensive. That's the thing about MCP too. Their expansions are expensive. Like they're bigger minis, they're high quality, like they're great and gorgeous minis. Stay frosty, and thanks for covering material on Armada. Well, thank you for watching. I'll continue. I'm going to continue to cover all of these games. We got a lot of stuff lined up that's going to be really interesting. I'm working on a really fun April Fool's video, and I'm keeping that one close to my chest because I've spent a lot of time working on this April Fool. I've actually been planning my April Fool's video for a long time, and so it's going to be pretty fun. I don't know how much, like some people are going to like it, some people will ignore it. One thing I have found, when I put a lot of time into graphics or effects or fun things, when I spend a lot of time on a video, nobody watches it. Or it gets relatively lower. But the times that I put more more breaking news, but less time, like it doesn't take me long to sit down and just do a live stream, then it gets a lot more views. We got a super chat from PugThug316. Thank you so much for the super chat, PugThug. He says, light cruisers are back in stock. If you guys are like me and want to run lots of Architons, this is your chance. Don't sleep on this. Architons may be the best ship in the entire game of Star Wars Armada. Don't sleep on it, because, hey, this is one of the questions, actually, things being out of stock. One of the reasons things tend to be out of stock is they change things on the packaging, right? They changed the sleeve sizes that were printed on the pack. What kind of sleeves do you need from a Fantasy Flight's sleeves? We changed that to be Game Genic. We got another super chat from JM. Whoa, JM. Dropping a big super chat. Thank you so much, JM. I appreciate your support of the channel. Thank you for helping out, and dude, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, so I think this is one of the questions to ask for on February 3rd when Atomic Mass Games does their live stream. Is like, hey, are we going to see more delays in reprints? Because all of the product that's out there. Do I have one? This type of stuff right here. It's got the Fantasy Flight Games logo. We already had reprints so they could put Game Genic on there, but now we're gonna have to have reprints that they can put Atomic Mass Games on there. So like, and also once upon a time there were reprints so they could put Disney on the boxes because the first couple of X-Wing waves did not have Disney on the boxes because they were made before Disney. Fun fact. I don't know how fun that is, but yeah. But yeah, so like, well, maybe actually that might be news to some of you guys because I mean, I'm forgetting how long these games have been out. They've been out for a very long time. My channel is actually pretty old now, as a matter of fact. So I actually started this channel, I think, in 2006. I was looking at, granted, it wasn't a Star Wars channel. I think I just started the YouTube channel to upload the Get on My Horse video or something like that. So I don't know how many of you guys have seen that. That was pretty ancient. But I think I had it before that. I don't know. I don't know what some of my older stuff was, like personal home movies and stuff like that. So I've erased those. So you can't actually find like my original videos, but yeah. So but yeah, it's pretty interesting. All right, so if you guys are just joining, we'll go over this again. You know, our Armada Wave 10 got delayed on the Lion Rampant website, so now it's showing a release date of October. I'm sorry, not October. Slip of the tongue. April 16th. I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine October? That'd be a long wait. Yeah, April 16th for the next 4 expansions, but it does look like they're all coming at the same time. So you know, we're not getting. It doesn't look like they're splitting up the wave. I think instead of it being, I think there was talk of them splitting up the wave internally. That's my guess also. I think they considered, hey, we could split the wave and do 2 in January and 2 in April. No, let's keep the wave together and just do all 4 in April. I think that's fine. I think it might have been better if they could have split it up, but maybe they couldn't have. Maybe there's other reasons why they can't split it. Maybe it's easier for shipping to just ship the whole wave together. That probably makes sense. But, you know, maybe it's better for retailers too, you know, to have more stuff. I don't know. I always thought it'd be really cool to open up a game store. You know, I'd love to actually have a game store that is dedicated to, you know, people being able to come in and play in store, and more of the board games and miniatures games and a little bit less of the Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. But from what I gather, I'd probably have to run Magic tournaments, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon tournaments and stuff, because that stuff generates so much buzz that keeps the store afloat. I've heard of that before, so I might have to, you know, if you wanted to, you know, be successful. Then again, if I won the lottery and just had a couple million, you know, hanging around, I wouldn't have to worry about profits. I could just keep a store open. That would be the way to go. That'd be really fun. I would love to do that. I should open a store. I would love to open a store. It costs a lot of money though. But yeah, so but that would be really cool, right? Because I mean, I live in Orlando, so a cool thing about opening a store, if I were to do that, is that I could have it in maybe like the touristy section. So if you come down to, like, if you ever take the family to Disney or Universal or something like that, you can also go down to Crabbok's place, right? And play some you know, play some Armada or X-Wing or Legion in the store that, you know, has been supporting, you know, the games forever. That'd be pretty fun. I'd be pretty, because I do, honestly, I do have a lot of people send me emails and stuff saying things like, hey, we're coming down to Disney, because I actually live kind of far from Disney, and so I can't just go like meet people, you know, who are just happen to be in town. I don't want to invite strangers over to my home, you know. And best I can tell people, and this isn't a personal thing. I feel bad because some people are like, hey, I would love to, you know, get a game with you. I'm like, that's great, but you know, I have a job and I have a family, and you know, I have a lot of people ask me for stuff like that, you know, and maybe I have, like, before COVID, I used to have, like, you know, a certain day of the week that I would go up to Sci-Fi City, which is my local game store, and I'd play there. Like, I'm not there every week, but I'm there sometimes, and your best bet, you can go there and I might be there, you know, and I've run into a couple of people that way. But, you know, but it'd be nicer if I had my own store, because I'd probably be working in the store, and, you know, I would, and the really cool thing is, if it was a big enough place, I'd love to have like a studio there, so I could be like working, and I could be filming bat reps, like, hey, come down to Crabbok store, maybe you'll get to play a battle, you know, maybe you'll get your game televised or something like that. Like, that would be kind of a really cool draw, I think, you know, or whatever. Maybe you get to beat me on my channel in my store. Right? Like, that's the thing. That's what I would love to do. Someday maybe. I'd have to do some kind of crazy Kickstarter to be able to do it, though. You know, that's what it would be, because you know, I don't know. I'd have to do some research, and I'd probably have to get like somebody with a business degree to help me out with it or something like that, because I don't know anything about really running a business. Other than I've got my own marketing, because obviously I'd be promoting it through the channel, you know, so I don't think marketing would be a problem. I'd probably save a ton on advertising, since I do my own advertising. But yeah, that would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. So what is the best faction in Armada, in my opinion? I don't have a best faction. I don't have a favorite faction. A lot of it depends on what you enjoy canonically. Like if you're more of an Imperial, because the Rebels and the Empire have so much now that they have a little bit of everything. Like if you like smaller ships, the Rebels are a little better, but the Empire does have that too. If you like big ships, the Empire makes sense because you got the Star Destroyers. But technically, the Rebels actually have more large ships than the Empire does, especially with that Starhawk. You know, the Rebels have more smaller ships, but my favorite small ship is the Architans. So I would say maybe the Empire because I really like the way the Architans fly. Will you ever run 2 SSDs in a bat rep? I have done it. I have done it, although one was a Bellator running the prototype. I don't know which battle report it was at the time, but I ran the SSD and the Bellator both in one like mega bat rep. It was pretty wild. And I think it was like I think it was more than 800. I think it was a 1,200 point bat rep because I had 2 SSDs and then I had and that filled up most of the points even for a 1,200 bat rep. So yeah. Can you mix Rebel and Imperial pieces? No, not for official sanctioned play, but you can do that for, you know, homebrew stuff. The game isn't balanced for that way though, but I mean, you could certainly do that for maybe a scenario or some kind of, custom game. I mean, nothing stopping you from doing something like that once in a while. I've done placeholder stuff. Like sometimes when something gets announced and we've got all the cards and everything, I've done like before Darth Maul was actually released, when we had all of his stuff, I used one of the Order 66 miniatures of Darth Maul, which is one of my favorite Darth Mauls right here, with that Bruce Lee lightsaber nunchuck. We got another super chat. We got another super chat from Peter Rankin. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you supporting this. Peter says, would you fly in a fun squadrons tournament? It depends. It depends on the time. My schedule is awfully busy lately. I possibly could do that. Would I? Sure. I'm not that good at squadrons, and I don't play it enough to actually practice and get good. That's one of the reasons. And I don't know how you do a squadrons tournament. I guess you do teams of 5. I usually work better as a dedicated support because I am better at like trying to find people who need shields and repairs and give them that, and while hopefully staying alive long enough to support our heavy hitters. And maybe doing a little bit of damage on my own. But as far as being the ace, I have good days and bad days, but I have more bad days than good days. So I wouldn't feel, unless a team needed a dedicated support, I would feel like I probably would be a detriment to the team. If you've seen my live streams, even when the B-Wing came out, I still played support. And it's fun. I play the shield and repair support. I don't run bombs and mines and stuff that much. What is a good way? Cassidy asks, what's a good way to start getting into Armada? Well, it depends if you have somebody else that's already playing, because then you can just buy a single faction core set, the Republic or Clone or Separatist ones. But if you want to spend $100 or less just to learn the game, get the classic core set. It's got a single Victory Star Destroyer and 2 Rebel small ships. And that'll teach you just a learning game. It's a very small learning game. Doesn't get you the full experience of Armada, but that just got you. If you just joined in the news, because the stream has been going on for a little while now. If you just joined, Armada has a little delay. Armada's Wave 10, which is otherwise known as Clone Wars Wave 2, is getting pushed back till April. And that's according to the Lion Rampant date. I think they said April 16th. It's in the thumbnail. I try not to. I've been accused of clickbait, and sometimes I disagree on what clickbait is. If it's just having thumbnails that make people want to click, then I suppose so. I do certainly design the thumbnails to be attractive, but I try not to hide the information or the context of my video. I try to get to the point very, very quickly, and hopefully you want to stick around, and because I think at one point I did something where like I didn't talk about what the actual news was until the end of the video, and that just feels like a really sorry excuse to get people to watch all the way through. So I don't want to be that way. I know that that's better for the algorithm. It helps me more if you watch the videos longer, because then Armada and X-Wing and Legion stuff of mine is more likely to get shown to other people. But at the same time, I want to give you the information up close. So like in today's video, for example, I put the actual date, a clipping from the Lion Rampant website in the thumbnail for the video. So you may have actually seen it before you even came in here. So that's kind of what I aim to do. I want to get information out to you guys in hopes that maybe you want to stick around and just hang out and chat also. And hopefully I provide enough insight, and that's why I kind of give you the information, and then I talk about maybe why and what does this mean, and do the exposition on it afterwards. Would you? All right, let's see here. All right, I've missed some of the chat, so I'll take a couple more questions. I have to go soon. I can't stay for too much longer. Let's see. All right, let's see. I buy stuff from my local store just to support it. That's a great idea. We should definitely do that. What is an obscure Star Wars ship that you'd love to have in Armada, but no, it would never happen? I don't know if it would never happen, but that's a tough one. Because if it would never happen, I don't know if I'd love to have it. Some of the more obscure ships are kind of like the Sun Crusher is a little more obscure. And I know that would never happen, but I don't think I would love to have it in Armada. How about the Mandator, for the Republic's version of the Mandator? That's a really big, it'd be a huge ship for the Republic's. We got another super chat from JM. What's going on, JM? I don't know if you had a question or anything, but I'm happy to answer you. But that's one way to get my attention for sure, if I'm missing your chats. But thank you, JM, for the support, man. I really appreciate you, man, or lady, or I don't know who JM is, but thanks, JM. I appreciate you very much. All right, you got to go, Andy. Have a nice evening. Well, depending on where you are. Yes, that's right. Sometimes I forget that people are watching from all over the globe, and it might be evening for you. And that's why I try to vary up my live streams a little bit. Sometimes I do them in the evening. Sometimes I do them earlier in the day, because I know not everybody is awake or can watch at the same times. And so changing it up a little bit gives more people options to kind of get on board and interact. And hopefully that helps. If you're interested in getting on board and interacting, I urge you to jump into Discord. There's going to be links down in the video description below. Be sure to click that See More. There's links for my Teespring store, my website, crabbok.com, and for Discord, and a couple of other things like Luxury Playstyle if you're interested in buying some of those metal tokens. I've got that code down there. But definitely check out the links in the description. Another thing that's good, too, about crabbok.com, if you guys haven't been to my website, I don't update it with new articles, all that. It's not as much, it's kind of like a blog, but I don't update the blog portion of it that often. But I do kind of keep that as a collection of certain videos, like reviews is a big one. I do a lot of reviews of like terrain or play mats or collectibles and things like that. And I keep those all there. So one of the things I put in my videos is, are you curious about anything? Because a lot of people will ask me, hey, in this battle report, where did you get those trees? Or where did you get that? Or where did you get this? And that sort of thing. And those are all in my reviews, but I put them on crabbok.com. I also have a video library section in my Discord. So if you're interested in learning about a game, if you don't have, like if you're new to Armada and you have some questions, when is your next Legion video? I try to space out the Armada, Legion, and X-Wing videos. I try to space them out. So we got another super chat from Keith. Keith says, thank you, Keith, by the way. Thanks for the super chat. Let me make sure it doesn't fade off. I want to thank you for your work in keeping the excitement going for your Star Wars games. Do you airbrush your minis or do you brush paint them? Most of them I brush paint. I have airbrushed a few. No, I use rattle can for primer most of the time. I don't use airbrush for primer because I just don't have any primer that goes in the airbrush. But I do airbrush a few things. I'll show you one thing. Like I do a combination. So Magneto here. And I don't know, on the stream, I don't know how well it's going to showcase. But Magneto, I don't know if you can tell, he's kind of got a fade of how he's kind of red and dark. One of the things, sometimes I'll airbrush a small mini, because it's a lot of work to pull out the airbrush, so I like to airbrush only like the big vehicles. Oh, yeah, let's home in on the monsters here. The AAT, okay? The AAT, this is almost all airbrush. Obviously, some of the metallic and then the turquoisey blue bits are brush painted, but everything else is airbrushed on here. Because first off, anything really, really large is going to really showcase those brush strokes. Even if you try to hide it, I think really, really skilled painters can manage to get in there and not have to showcase all the brush strokes. But most of the time, I use brush paint. I airbrushed something else that was over here. What was it that I wanted to showcase that I airbrushed? Well, hell, I don't know right now. But yeah, most of the time. Oh, and to a slightly lesser extent, these guys, these droids, they were actually just sprayed in a metallic primer that I barely had to do anything else to, so that's kind of like airbrushing. So we got another super chat from Austin. Austin asks, thank you, Austin. I really appreciate the support for the channel. Austin asks, what advice do you have for people who may only have money for one Star Wars miniatures game? Well, that I think is most people, because these games are expensive. And one of the only ways that I'm actually able to afford to play more than one game is thanks to this channel and thanks to support for people like you. So thank you very much. And that's why I'm able to cover a lot of these games, and it's not cheap. So what I would suggest is, if you're on a budget, I think that maybe X-Wing or Armada are probably good options. At one point, I would have definitely said Armada first. The reason is, even though the core set is $100, the core set is more expensive. X-Wing used to have a much more rapid delivery schedule of release, like new expansions constantly, and so it would end up costing you more in the long run. Whereas Armada was kind of like one expansion a year, so it was much cheaper in the long run to stay current with the game. But the first thing I would say, no matter what, is first off, kind of look at an overview of the games and kind of determine which one you like, but also pick a faction, because your faction choice is going to determine what what you have to buy and what game you're going to play. If you're interested in like the Empire for Star Wars Armada, it's going to be a little more expensive because the starter only gives you one ship. Whereas if you're interested in the Republic, that starter gives you 3 ships. So it's better to jump into Clone Wars for Armada, for example, because you've got a single faction starter, which is the cheapest and maybe most efficient entry point into a game. Whereas Clone Wars for X-Wing, you have to buy the X-Wing starter, which just has a Rebellion and a Rebellion X-Wing and 2 Imperial TIE Fighters, has nothing for the Clone Wars in it. Granted, you can buy all the other stuff a la carte, but then it ends up being way more expensive. So they do have, Republic and Separatist starters, kind of. They're like squadron packs, but they're not an actual starter. They have a lot of cards, but it becomes a little more on the expensive side. And then definitely don't do Separatists, because this whole swarm aspect of them, you're going to want way more than that. So I really like Armada. Armada is a little harder to play, though. And the other piece of advice I would give you, Austin, or to anybody who's watching, is to make sure you consider your community. Because what you want to do is you want to be able to play against people. You want to be able to have opponents to play against. And having opponents to play against is maybe the most important thing. If you have nobody to play against, but maybe you've got kids or people in your household who will play, then maybe look at one of the games that has a 2-player starter, like Armada's Galactic Civil War, the original Armada starter, or the X-Wing starter, which is much cheaper. That gives you a small, kind of an introductory way to play. X-Wing is going to be a little bit lighter on the rule set. But if you got a little bit more money, consider Legion. Legion probably is the most expensive of all of them because it also has to have, you also have to buy other things. You have to buy glue. You have to buy, crimpers. You have to like tool, you need a sprue cutter. You need primer and paint. And then, of course, the battlefields. Terrain is important. Now, granted, you can use boxes. You can use game boxes and stuff as terrain. But all of those hidden extra costs really go a long way to making Legion the more expensive and time-consuming. Now, obviously, if you are a fan of that sort of stuff, is there a way to send you fan mail? JM asks. Yeah, so I have a P.O. box for that purpose. The P.O. box is, I don't remember the address off the back of my head right now, but if on my YouTube page, there's an About page that has information, like contact information for the channel. It's where my email address is. There's also the P.O. box address. If you can't find that, you can go to crabbok.com. There's also a section where you can click on About Me or Contact Info that has the P.O. Box link there as well. Jonathan Reyes asks, the best thing about X-Wing and Armada is that all the great flat terrain looks on the table. Yeah, flat terrain is something. I made jokes about Legion about wanting flat terrain there because the Battle of Naboo really had no blocking terrain. It was just kind of plains they were fighting on. But you had those giant shields, which would be kind of cool if you did have, kind of like movable terrain. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, JM. Thank you for your support, by the way. I appreciate you. So we are probably getting kind of close to wrapping up. I wanted to go back to another question earlier about airbrushing because I wanted to show you guys something, and I posted these on social media, but this was something else that I did airbrushing for. I was playing around with some 40K stuff, and I did kind of a sunburst effect on these Necrons, and I did my whole army of Necrons this way. And this was a combination of brush and airbrush. So, like, I did the whole thing in red, and then I did it orange from like the top to the middle, and then yellow on the very, very top. And so they were completely airbrushed in this kind of sunburst pattern, and then I went with a brush and then just did the finer details while leaving the armor alone, and that's how I got this effect. I'm really, really proud of these guys. They came off super, super well, except I don't really play 40K, so it was kind of a waste. So I'm like, man, you know what? The next time they come out with some crazy clones or something, I think I'm gonna try that same effect with them because it came out so good. I wouldn't mind doing like a Starburst clone commandos or something like that. Oh wait, we got a lot of questions about my Starhawk and some of the other things I've painted, as well as what paints I use. I'm gonna show you. I'll show you what paints I use. A variety. All right, so I use paints from 3 different paint companies currently. Green Stuff World sent me a lot of paints a while back. So I have some of theirs. They have some interesting like washes or their inks. So I use some of their inks to kind of as almost like a contrast or a wash or a hybrid of those. They also have some cool metallic paints, which I use a lot of their metallics. So I like Green Stuff's World. They have the new chrome paints they've been sharing around Twitter right now. It's like ultra shiny chrome. It looks dope. It'd be really fun to do like the Mandalorian's Beskar armor with that chrome paint. Like I really want to, that one looks cool. They're in Spain though, so there's going to be international shipping and stuff. So I've never actually ordered from them. Jonathan Reyes, super chat. What's going on, Jonathan? Thank you so much. Scum and Villainy faction for Legion, when? Oh man, I don't know if, I've always said I don't know if they'll do Scum and Villainy as its own faction, or if it'll be like, if they'll just do non-aligned stuff that can go with other people, because you've got Boba Fett in the Empire, you've got Bosk in the Empire, like are you gonna, I don't know. I think what's more likely is that they would do like specific syndicates, like Crimson Dawn or something like that, or something. I don't think it would just be Scum and Villainy. But if they do something like that, it could be sooner rather than later because of the talk about sub-factions. And so that might be a good time to get that into the game. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I guess we'll have to see. I would love to see, I was talking just the other day about speaking of syndicates and like Black Sun, I would love to see Xizor or Zizor, or I think it's supposed to be pronounced Xizor, but Xizor, like Shadows of the Empire and Dash Rendar. I would love to see Dash Rendar show back up. But be given the new canon treatment of like finding a more natural way to bring them back. It doesn't have to be exactly Shadows of the Empire's storyline exactly, but I think that would be fun and be a good excuse to bring in like Black Sun, because you see Black Sun a lot in X-Wing, but they're part of Scum and Villainy, so it could go a couple. And we also see Black Sun in what, Outer Rim? Well, they have just Syndicate as a faction in Outer Rim. But then they also have the Huts, which are very different. Where those are two separate factions. So it's hard because the different games kind of do stuff all over the place. So I don't know, but I think when they do sub factions, that'll shine more light on when we see that. I'm also curious to see if somebody like Cad Bane, who is a separatist, and Boba Fett, who is an Imperial, work with something like that if they can jump faction. I mean, they did it with R2-D2 and C-3PO where they could jump faction. I'm starting to lose my voice. I've been talking for a while. All right, paints. What kind of paints do I use? I use Green Stuff World. I use Citadel pods. They were the first ones I bought. I have a lot of them still. I really, really do like Citadel's contrast paints. There are certain ones. There's a black that I really like because it's not a pure black. And so it's able to go onto something, and then you see some of the shading of what was already there. And then I use these for my airbrush. Vallejo. Vallejo is the newest. I got another set of Vallejo paints for Christmas last year, and I have really enjoyed the dropper bottle style. But Vallejo Model Air paints are amazing, and so I use those in my airbrush. I don't mix Citadel paints in the airbrush anymore, although I think they do have some. We got another super chat from Austin. Thank you again, Austin, for the support. I really appreciate you. Austin asks, final question, and this may be the final question because I do have to go. Is it possible to play X-Wing and Armada with a decent budget? Well, obviously that depends on decent, because you might have $100 to your name, and if so, you'd probably have to stick to X-Wing. Because $100 would just get you a core set with Armada. It's harder to play a full game of Armada with just a core set, because you'd probably have to borrow a few things. But yeah, I think you could play them both for under 200. You could get, for Armada, I think if you got a core set plus one ship, once those other ships come out, and then a core set plus one ship for X-Wing, you could probably do that, but you'd have to stick to a single faction. You're gonna have to stick to a single faction for both games, and it's harder in X-Wing because you get into stuff. So I mean, like maybe stick to the Rebels for X-Wing, or maybe you got two TIE fighters. You'd probably have to go a little over $200. I guess it also depends on what kind of deal you get. Like sometimes you get stuff on sale. So while like a Republic starter for the Republic for Armada is $99.99, you might be able to get it for like $85. If you get like at your local store, like my local store sometimes usually has things like 10 or 15% off or something like that. So if you do that and then you get one more ship, you're looking at maybe like $140, like a Venator plus a starter. That's a good kind of place to be. And then X-Wing starter about $30-$40, and then maybe one or two small ships. I think that could do it. I think that could get you there. You'd probably be looking at about less than $250. That could get you there. But I mean, there's other things you're also gonna want. You're gonna want a squadron pack for Armada. You're gonna want the upgrade card collection. But those are things that you can just add a little bit over time. Armada is going to have less stuff that you need to add right away, especially if you start with the Clone Wars. The upgrade card collection is a great way to start out with. X-Wing has a lot of stuff out there. So if you do start with the Rebels, you're going to be really tempted because there's like 15 ship expansions out there. Plus, you're probably going to want to get the 1.0 stuff and then the conversion kit. It becomes very, really problematic at that point because you're going to have overload. Whereas for Armada, you'll be less tempted to have overload. But all those things said, Legion is still really, really fun. I'm not dogging on Legion. It just happens to be the most expensive. But one of my favorite aspects of tabletop gaming is, you know, something I do with Legion, and that's terrain, is like setting up tables or building terrain or reviewing terrain. Speaking of terrain, I actually have a lot of stuff lined up. So a lot of really cool terrain reviews and looks at terrain. We're in some new battlefields that we'll be doing with terrain. That's definitely one of my favorite things to do, and it's kind of the one resentment I have for X-Wing and Armada is that they don't have terrain, and that's why I hope Armada would get space stations, and that's why I have the Deep Space Nine space station. I need to do another Deep Space Nine battle report. That would be fun. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you guys joined real late, did you finish the Legion Crashed Imperial Raider? Oh yeah, I've got battle reports for that. I got a couple of them. That one is all painted and it looks beautiful. It's very beautiful. The only problem with that one is I kind of set it up a certain way, and like when I'm running that battlefield, it's gonna be mostly a certain way almost all the time. You can't really make it, you know, you can't really change it up too much. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off. But yeah, if you joined late, the Armada Wave 10 is delayed until April 16th. I think it's the 16th, according to Lion Rampant. I think that is a common sense kind of pushback since it hasn't been announced yet. You need to have time to get it announced, to have spoiler articles and hype it up appropriately. But then again, I've been hyping it up the whole time. But yeah, I think it's appropriate to delay it a little bit. I don't think they're ready to release it just yet. And that's it, really. You know, it's no big deal. But this has been a good live chat. Be sure to check out the Discord. Be sure to check out Crabbok.com. And if you want to get some shirts or masks or bags, we've got. Oh, last plug. I'm kind of proud of the Bad Dice Prison. This is a bag, but we have the same the design on a shirt as well. And when your dice roll all blanks and stuff, you need to punish them. You throw your dice in this bag. And it's dice on carbonite, all right? And so if your dice fail you put them in here, and they'll learn their lesson. You take them out later, they roll better for you. It's scientifically proven to work. But it also works as a bag for your chips for Legion. So you can put your order tokens in there and draw them out. All right, guys, I will see you later. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And as always, have a great day.